on the Morning Edition, one thing no one ever wants to go through: losing your home and property in a house fire. We spoke with some that escaped the Mountain View apartment fire, won by a daring escape, and shared their story. Plus, the state of Alaska ranks extremely high in the nation for suicide rates. A bill to help fund the 988 crisis line is going before the state Senate committee today. We break down what it needs to move forward. And later, border security, safety, and procedure. 3 things you think about when you're crossing from Canada to the U.S. or vice versa. But this cat, he is a full approved passport. No procedure needed. We'll take a look at this feline above the law as the Morning Edition starts now. Good Friday morning, everyone. We made it to the end of the week, and we are finally starting to warm up a little bit. Aaron.
Yeah, today as we officially welcome in astronomical spring, which begins at 6:46 Alaska Daylight Time, we are going to see those temperatures beginning to steadily warm. In fact, many areas of the state already holding on to that warming trend, and this comes after we've been holding on to bitter cold conditions for quite some time. We're currently at 7 degrees in Anchorage with those winds out of the north at 7 miles per hour. Now, today could provide some gusty conditions across South Central. One thing we are watching, though, as we welcome in the weekend, is the potential that we could see some high winds up to about 75 miles per hour as you head through lower parts of the Matanuska Valley. So we will be watching for that as we do have that high wind watch that just went into effect. 4 below in Soldotna, 12 degrees in Portage, 9 below in Willow, and as you head out towards eastern parts of Prince William Sound, we're currently sitting in the lower 20s. So temperatures slowly but surely beginning to warm across South Central as well as the state as a whole. We are going to continue to see these warming trend taking hold. Many locations you can see a few degrees above where we were sitting at yesterday. Now, some locations actually holding on to some cooler conditions, and this comes due in large part to the cloud coverage that we're seeing decreasing across South Central. Anytime we do have cloud coverage across the region, that acts like a blanket. Think like you're laying in the bed at night and you have that blanket on top of you that traps that heat in at the surface. So anytime we do have those cloudier conditions, you will see some warmer nights, and once those clouds clear, you're going to see those temperatures cool off a lot cooler in some locations, which is why some areas of South Central are slightly cooler this morning. But we do officially climb into the 20s today, which is going to be the first time we've seen the 20s in quite some time across South Central. And again, today is the vernal equinox. That is where we're officially going to start off the spring season. Now, if you remember earlier this week, we had the equilux. That was a Wednesday. That is the specific date when daylight and darkness is nearly equal, and that was on Wednesday, March 18th. The equinox is the moment the sun crosses the celestial equator going north, and that is what we're going to see today at 6:46 in the morning. And of course, those temperatures will finally begin to start feeling like spring across the state. I'll have more on that in that 7-day forecast for you coming up.
In minutes, everything they owned became smoke, water, and ash. More than a dozen people are starting over without a home to return to. Lauren Maxwell shares details on a daring escape and what's being done to help families displaced after a fire in Anchorage's Mountain View neighborhood.
Smoke from the blaze reached high into the sky Wednesday afternoon.
Crazy.
Excelia Hendrickson saw it. She just picked up her son from elementary school and was a few blocks away.
And I thought it was coming from down the alley, but then I actually looked and I saw all the black smoke in the sky, and I just screamed, "Can you keep my son, please?" And I darted.
The smoke was coming from the apartment building on North Lane Street where Excelia lives with her mother. She worried her mom had just gone down for a nap.
She said she was gonna lay down, and she started smelling something, and then the alarms started going off.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's when I panicked.
Excelia arrived just in time to see her mom leap from a second-story window.
I was kind of afraid to jump, but I'm glad there was snow, a lot of snow, and I just landed on there. Thank God.
The family was among 4 people and a dog who spent Wednesday night at a Red Cross shelter set up at the Fairview Rec Center.
The shelter will stay open until all of those clients have found what their new normal is going to be.
Excelia and her mom aren't sure what that will look like.
Just thank God that everybody got out safely.
I know, really.
I'm so glad.
They're hoping to get settled soon. Lauren Maxwell, Alaska's news source.
The Anchorage Fire Department says 2 people were taken to the hospital to be checked for smoke inhalation. The cause of the fire, which damaged all 7 units in the building, is still under investigation. From better roads and safer intersections to basic street lighting in areas that don't have it. First here on Alaska's News Source, Alaska Native communities are about to see a major infusion of federal safety dollars. Joining us today is James Crawford, the U.S. Department of Transportation's Assistant Secretary for Tribal Affairs, to talk about new safety grants coming to our state. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's great to be here this morning in beautiful Alaska. And
Thanks for coming. Let's start out with the big picture here. How much money in grants is headed our way, and where's it going?
Just about $2 million is coming from the federal government. It's going to different Native Alaskan communities, such as the Aleut and Craig, the Coconut. These monies are going to help all the safety things that we take for granted in our communities. You look at the lower 48 states, a lot of times we don't have a lot of the worries that you in Alaska do, but it's been my charge as the Assistant Secretary of Tribal Government Affairs to really take a really good look at what's happening in Indian country. And Alaska is one of our most remote areas in the entire United States, and it's certainly in Indian country. And so I know as the Assistant Secretary, I've been charged from my secretary, my boss, Secretary Duffy, to make sure that Alaskan people's voices are heard and that we are meeting the needs that are up here. And you know, there's never enough money to go around, but my job is to make sure that everybody understands that we see you, we want to help you. We want to make sure that the administration, this president, he wants to make sure that no matter where you're at, it doesn't matter how big of a community you are, how small of a community you are, how remote you are, that you're important to all of us. And so it's been my charge to make sure that I get out and I see people. I've been able to come out and be in Alaska numerous times, to visit different villages, and I just know the need that is here. And so anytime that we can provide grant monies that will help improve safety, you know, bring lighting to a community where normally it would be maybe unsafe to walk in the dark, but now they're going to have that ability. Many of these places lack the infrastructure that is needed for just the simplest things that we have in the lower 48. And so in these remote villages, I think it's very important for us to make sure that we're paying attention to our Alaskan Native villages, our people up here. And again, as the Assistant Secretary of Tribal Government Affairs, I really take that serious. You know, I was a former tribal leader of my own tribe, and so I understand the needs of our tribal communities. And too many times we are left wanting because people don't pay attention to us. And I know as I've been out and I've spoken with many of the Alaskan communities, Alaskan Native villages, they felt that over the years, that they haven't necessarily been heard, and maybe some of their needs aren't being met. And so like I said, I've been charged with making sure that they don't go unnoticed underneath this administration. So my boss, Secretary Duffy, makes sure that I get out here and see the people and hopefully bring them some great news. And this exclusive news here for KTUU, to bringing it to our Alaskan Native villages has just been exciting for me to be a part of all this.
All right, James Crawford, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Shifting to a tough topic now, suicide, one that many people find difficult. Young people from Western Alaska brought their grief and their demands straight to the state capitol, pressing lawmakers to act on a crisis that's claiming lives here at a staggering rate. Our political reporter, Will Courtney, shows us what they're asking for and why they say it can't wait.
I've traveled hundreds of miles to be here today, because I want to be a voice for those I have lost to suicide.
On the steps of the Capitol, calls for change.
Alaska is facing one of the most severe mental health crises in our country. One life is lost to suicide every 2 days.
But amongst the speakers, one missing. A voice from a village hit hardest by Typhoon Halong.
And he was supposed to be here sitting on this very couch in this very room, going around the Capitol speaking to other legislators. Unfortunately, isn't here and took his own life.
He was looking forward to come to talk to the legislators about youth suicide. A few weeks prior to that, he had a relative that had died by suicide, and then the typhoon hit. I got to know him playing as an elf. I play Santa Claus. for the school district in the Bethel schools. I always try to get the kids to play elves. And he was one of the elves, and the smile he had on the face and interaction was great.
According to the CDC, Alaska has the highest suicide rate across the country. It's the 5th leading cause of death in the state. One proposed solution, pass a bill to fund mental health crisis services and the 988 Lifeline. If passed, a 98-cent surcharge would be added to all local telephone numbers. Advocates say it's been a tricky sell.
We've had some successful meetings with different legislators. There's definitely an acknowledgement of the need, but it's difficult to pass bills that involve a surcharge.
But behind the policy debate are people.
I want to be one of the voices for the people who feel like they don't have a voice. 988 saves lives, and thank you.
Will Courtney, Alaska's news source.
The bill to help fund 988 is scheduled for a hearing in a Senate committee today. If you or someone you know is in crisis, you can call or text 988 anytime. The Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is available 24/7. And a reminder, the deadline to apply for your Alaska Permanent Fund dividend is coming up fast. The filing window closes March 31st. If you haven't applied yet, you can log on to your My Alaska account and fill out the application. Every eligible person in your household needs their own, including kids. If you don't want to e-sign, you can still file online and mail in a signature or pick up a paper application at distribution centers around the state. You can find a link on our website. UA President Pat Pitney gave her last State of the University address, emphasizing the positive shift she says has occurred over the last 6 years. Pitney spoke to the challenges that face the university system when she took her position in 2020. That included a budget crisis, the COVID pandemic, and ongoing enrollment declines. She says the university system has now stabilized and is seeing growth in enrollment as well as research advancements. Pitney says that includes the possibility of being one of the 4 institutions to receive a National Science Foundation grant focused on critical minerals development.
It's the National Science Foundation Critical Minerals Engine, and it is a grant that supports an industry, state, university collaboration on advancing the mining industry in the state. If we are successful, it's a 10-year, $160 million federal investment that is meant to turn on that critical minerals, rare earth element access in the state of Alaska.
Pitney is retiring from her position in May. The university is focusing on finding her replacement and expecting an announcement that time. An affidavit filed in Alaska District Court says an Anchorage man tried robbing a bank, warning a teller he was armed with the power and authority of Jesus Christ. It happened at a Credit Union 1 on DeBar Road in Anchorage last month. The affidavit says the warning was written on a note. The teller handed the suspect money. 35-year-old Deshaylin Jelks was later found and arrested by police across the street at a Costco. The affidavit reports Jelks asked if he would get any of the stolen money back, in which he, of course, did not. 3 weeks into the Matsu Borough school bus strike, and there's still no agreement. Teamsters Local 959 says negotiations with Durham School Services ended without an agreement. The union says Durham declined to extend talks this week and instead left town. Teamsters says the strike will continue with one virtual bargaining session now set for March 26th. Still ahead on the Morning Edition, if you missed even a single moment of Jesse Holmes' historic race across Alaska, we have you covered. We'll take a look back at his award-sweeping run and highlights of the race when we return.
Warmer conditions taking hold across the state. I'll have a look at what to expect as the weekend arrives, and those details is that 7-day forecast as well. But first at sunrise, 7:59 in Anchorage, 6:58 in Juneau. Your full forecast is next.
Welcome back in on this Friday morning. And what is it? Just a few minutes now, we officially turn into spring, Aaron?
Coming in at 29 minutes away, and we officially will welcome in spring. And of course, it's still not feeling like it across the state, but we are going to see those temperatures begin to trend upwards as we head through the weekend and on into next week. We're also chasing the snowiest season on record for Juneau. We have officially moved into the 3rd snowiest on record. Yesterday, we were sitting at the 4th. And of course, we're going to be watching the interior. Teens this weekend for highs will be in the forecast, and those teens will likely carry us into next week. And there is the potential that late next week we could see highs climbing near 20, if not into the lower 20s for the interior. Waking up to 8 below in Fairbanks, 17 below in Kotzebue, 36 below in Dead Horse out towards southeast. Those temperatures in the 20s and the 30s. And we're still holding on to some of those cold conditions through the Aleutians. 1 below in Cold Bay and 12 degrees currently in Unalaska. Now that core of the coldest air, that low pressure situated right across southwestern parts of the state, as well as through the Aleutians, which is where we are seeing some of those colder conditions. But those temperatures across the state already beginning to warm. You can see 2 degrees warmer in McGrath as well as Wasilla. Fairbanks coming in at 23 degrees warmer than this time yesterday, and then 2 degrees warmer in Utqiagvik and 3 degrees warmer in Kotzebue. Now, there is still a handful of locations where temperatures are a lot colder than yesterday. You can see through the Aleutians, we're about 15 degrees colder, and that is that persistent northerly flow that we continue to see that's reinforcing those cold conditions. And it has been a cold one. The average high since January 1st for Fairbanks is coming in at 11.9 degrees below zero. That is the 11th coldest start to a year on record and the coldest since 1974. When we saw an average temperature of negative 13.9. So what we're going to continue to see, there's our area of low pressure that remains with us. It's going to try and break off from the main energy source that's situated over northern Canada. And as it does that, we are going to begin to see temperatures kind of moderate across the state. We're also going to see this ridge of high pressure begins to shift a bit more towards the northeast. And as it does that, that's going to drive in those warmer conditions that we'll see across the state as we welcome in the weekend and next week. We still can't rule out some lingering snow showers for the Gulf Coast region. We've got several mesolows that will move through the Gulf Coast region. And when I say mesolows, we got the main storm system itself, and then surrounding that storm system, we'll have a numerous number of lows that will build in around that system. And that will keep some snow showers in the forecast. And those lows will also lead to some gap winds increasing once again across South Central as we welcome in the weekend. For today, though, you can see those temperatures bumping up into the 20s, possibly even some lower 30s in the forecast. We are finally beginning to see those temperatures warm across South Central as well as the state as a whole. But you can see those temperatures today warming into the 20s as we head throughout the afternoon hours. You can see that temperatures for the foreseeable future, mid to upper 20s. Would not be surprised if we see some areas of South Central as we welcome in next week where those temperatures top out in the 30s. But that is the good news that we do have in the forecast. You can see that stretch of 20 staying with us. Overnight lows near 10 degrees. So that warm weather pattern will carry us through the close of March. Still below average. Our average high this time of year is right around 35-ish degrees. So we are still going to be slightly below average, but a lot warmer than what we have been across South Central.
Jesse Holmes delivered a decisive win this week, crossing under the Burled Arch in Nome first. And as Georgina Fernandez reports, this finish is just the latest in a run of big successes for Holmes on the Iditarod Trail this season.
Back-to-back wins. Jesse Holmes defending his first-place title on Tuesday, arriving first. A mantra he defended throughout the race.
Welcome to McGrath.
Holmes being first in McGrath, gaining a pair of beaver fur mushroom mitts and hat as he secured the Alaska Air Transit Spirit of Iditarod Award.
Hello.
Then first and cripple, taking home the GCI Dorothy G. Page Halfway Award.
I'm going to take the gold, sell the gold, and get the Dodge something special.
And once he got started, he kept going.
I've been living off a Boost.
Winning the first musher to the Yukon Award in Ruby.
What a treat.
Where he received a gourmet 5-course meal. Then securing the Bristol Bay Native Corporation Fish Force Award in Caltag. And Holmes added a new loon to his collection.
Tell you what, I ain't cold no more. My heart's warm, full of joy.
When he received the Ryanair Gold Coast Award in Unalakleet. Holmes then officially wiped the table clean of awards in White Mountain as he took home the Northrim Bank Archive Moore Award, a commanding win throughout his nearly 1,000-mile journey to Nome.
Chasing greatness is something that I do every morning when I wake up, you know.
That dedication brought home not just another Iditarod victory, but a large cash sum, gold nuggets, and timeless handcrafted art.
Bedroom's looking really nice. It's beautiful artwork.
In addition to Holmes' $80,000 first place prize money from all 6 awards, he is pulling in an additional $5,500 in cash and $4,500 in gold nuggets. Georgina Fernandez, Alaska's news source.
9 mushers are still on the trail after Adam Linmuth scratched Thursday evening, all of whom are currently resting in White Mountain. And as you know, the last great race on Earth doesn't end until the final team makes it under the Burled Arch to take home the Red Lantern Trophy. Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's News Source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting. Available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's News Source app.